alive. This is one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had in my life. I don't think I've ever spent 14 days by myself, and thank God, because I'm not really sure that I want to be like my own company for 14. Oh, somebody just asked if I turned my phone off. Good point. I'm going to do that right now. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Don't ask me why when the phone thing comes in and out that all the video gets messed up. I think it's like mysterious gremlin-like things. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, day number 7 of 14 days. And as I was saying, this is certainly one of the strangest experiences I've ever had. I don't really recommend it for anyone unless they're kind of masochistic or something. In your head, you're thinking to yourself, wow, 14 days by myself. I could get so much done. I could do this. I could write that book. I could meditate. I could paint. I could do this. Well, maybe they can, but until really the last few days, I haven't been able to concentrate. It's hard for me to sit down and concentrate. And then time just starts to shift into something weird where you're not really paying attention to time. And the thing you notice is the amount of light coming into your hotel, which it's predominantly gray here. So that kind of shifts. And that's the thing you kind of think of the most. And then, surprisingly, I don't eat much. I eat very little. But yesterday, this could be a big change. Yesterday, they delivered a stationary bicycle. So I will probably be like a hamster on a wheel. Or maybe I'll never use it. Let's see. I used it briefly last night. And part of you wants to go into, there's like two competing elements here. Like one part wants you to go to mindfulness, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And the other part wants you to go to mindlessness, which is, no, I'm not paying attention. I have no idea what the time is. I just want to wake up on the 14th day and get the fuck out of here. And I kind of vacillate between those two things. And that's kind of true with life, probably. But what's really been interesting is it certainly gives you a lot of time to think. And what you miss is you miss just contact with people, basic contact with people. So the guy who delivered the coffee this morning is an old man. I'm going to say he's like 75. His name is Franco. I literally wanted to stop him and be like, Franco, stop. Where are you from? What's your story? Let's talk. But I'm with a mask. He's with a mask. I think he's kind of looking at me like a caged animal. Like, am I dangerous? Because it has to be a little weird for these Canadians. They're sitting in a hotel. They know that you're coming in from a contagious country. You're coming in. You're forced to do a 14-day quarantine. You're told to stay away from these people. You're told they can't come out of their rooms. They treat you like a pariah. Now, I know they're not doing that on purpose, and it still feels weird. You feel like a caged animal. But basic social contact, to have somebody in your presence, is really something we obviously take for granted. And I was thinking about this. So think about all those friends or slash acquaintances that kind of suck your energy up, or you feel a little depleted when you're with them. You know, I miss those people. I want to tell you, to be honest with you, is that all of their faults and incongruities are kind of not a problem for me right now. And it's really interesting because I think that we are predominantly a social creature. I think we're predominantly meant to be with each other. And you're not with anyone. And so I would like to see after 14 days what I produce, at least from various works, paintings, writings, etc. It would be interesting to see what I produce. But more importantly, how has my mentality changed? Like, how has my perception of things changed? You certainly have time to think about certain things. You got more than enough time. Maybe too much time. Actually, maybe too much time. However, I've just been thinking, how are we all going to emerge from this thing? We have, for the first time in the history of humanity, are experiencing something simultaneously. Now, when I say that, let me emphasize the fact that all other pandemics and even world wars did not simultaneously affect the globe. Even when a pandemic was, affecting the rest of the world, nobody was on the same page. Certainly from a news cycle, they weren't. And people that didn't get the news didn't understand what was going on. So World War I and World War II, still, there were pockets of places that didn't even know the war was going on. So this is the first time in the history of humanity where we have all had a mutual, simultaneous experience. Now, I say that barring weather. Yes, we all experience basically the same weather. No, we don't experience the same weather, excuse me. But the cycles of weather, the sun, the moon, the night, the day, etc. So this is fascinating. I'm curious, how do we emerge from this? Are we going to be like computers that have been in sleep mode and then we just get turned back on, we go back to work, we do our thing? Or are we going to emerge perhaps with some sort of clarity or some sort of revelation about our former lives, things we didn't like, things we want to change, things that want to be different? Are we going to be more motivated to work? Or are we going to be less motivated to work? Are we going to be closer with our friends and family? Or are we going to be even more distant from our friends and family? I don't know, and I think that depends on everybody's individual situation, but I do think that some people are beginning to think, time is precious, and I don't have a lot of it, and perhaps I am not using my time wisely. Perhaps I'm not being present, perhaps. I think we all probably suffer from that. And I think this is another interesting thing. This is just me thinking, obviously, is that we as human beings have this incredible capacity that other animals don't have, which is to think really far into the future. So we can say, for example, I'm not going to just store nuts for one winter. I'm going to store nuts for 10 winters. Then I got it taken care of. Then I have time to do other things. Well, we have an overdeveloped hypothetical capacity. And in the process of this overdeveloped hypothetical capacity, we are often not present. And I would argue that a lot of other animals are far more present than we are from a sensory perspective on every level. Their sound, the smell, their sights, everything. I don't know about you, but I can be in a place and not even really be there because my head's someplace else. Now, the question is, outside of our overdeveloped survival tool, which that was, are we actually hurting ourselves? And it goes back to what I was talking the other day about our reliance on our GPS system as opposed to our directional skill set that nature gave us. that birds have, that bees have, that the ability to look at things, look at landscapes, and see places and navigate. We need our GPS. We literally have lost our capacity to navigate. And that's kind of interesting. So this also goes back into that place. How present are we? I don't know, because I realize that I've been stuck with myself and that I'm not present, probably for a very good reason, because if I was present, I'd probably be really bummed out, as opposed to just bummed out. So here I am trying to solve all these problems, just kind of riffing philosophically there. I would like to interview, like 10 different families and then 10 different individuals and kind of see where they were before, during, and how things are going to be afterwards. Because I don't think we will ever be the same. I think this is a massive tectonic shift in our psyche. I don't know where it puts us, and maybe it ends up being a better thing. I think there is a silver lining. I do think we're going to be better off somehow. But I do think that we may be more grateful and tolerant for each other. I know that sounds Pollyannish, but I can tell you that I look longingly through the windows, and I don't care who's down there. I'm like, I wish I was your friend. We would have so much fun together sitting on the park bench. I mean, seriously, it's kind of weird. And maybe guys in prison are probably, maybe they actually are more enlightened because they're stuck with these thoughts. But a sense of gratitude and a sense of joy and being present is probably a really valuable thing to pull out of this, at least for me, okay? Just for me. And on that, I might end my philosophical riffing here in my hotel room in Toronto, because I see people are asking me questions, people from all over the world. And that's what I love about this. So let me first acknowledge everyone from around the world in all their different time zones coming to join me to commiserate. Is that what we're doing? I don't know. I'm calling it commiseration. That gives you a higher level of tolerance for me bitching about stuff. So we'll call it commiseration. Anyways, let's start answering some questions from people from all over the world. What's something that Newman does that makes me laugh? I mean, look at the dog. The dog has his tongue sticking out of his mouth half the time. I mean, there's nothing he doesn't do that doesn't make me laugh. Good evening, Latvia. Pleasure to have you with us. And let's see, Wales, fantastic. And let's see, where else? Finland, Australia. It depends. There's something about Trump. So far, the majority of people in the USA are for Trump because they think it depends if Trump gets another 4 years. Okay. So far, majority of people in the USA for Trump think the economy is great. Well, I beg to differ on that one. I think people are hurting. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see where we are at. Canada, UK, Ireland. Oh, my people. My people. Oh, I miss my people. Where are we? Holland, another beautiful country. Portland, Maine, another beautiful place. Fiji, okay. Everybody's just trying to one-up each other. I'd like to be in Fiji right now. I've been there. Surf Tavarua. It's an amazing place. Orlando. Now listen, Orlando. God bless you. I'm not a big fan of Orlando as a city. I think it's weird. But I don't think the people are weird, but I think Orlando is really weird. Maybe because Disneyland is there, and that's where the zombies are that are trying to kill us. Okay, let's move on. Georgia, and I'm assuming that's not Georgia, that's Georgia, Russia, Georgia. Okay. Romania, fantastic. Okay, let me answer some questions. France, Poland, Bulgaria, New Jersey. Whew, man, it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We're all sitting in a virtual living room in different time zones. And by the way, thank you for people in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe where it's even later, to join me. I've been told, I got in touch with my pal Ray Fisher. I don't know if you guys know who Ray Fisher is. If you don't, look him up on Instagram. He played the cyborg on the Justice League. He's a great guy, good friend. He does a lot of live streaming, and he told me that he thought that roughly 3 o'clock Eastern time was the right time to hit as many people as possible. But I might mix it up. Anyways, let's say, Hamburg, yes. Is Jason coming on this live? Maybe I will have Jason. I did talk to him for a while yesterday. It was very sweet. Jason called my son Truman for his birthday. Jason and Truman have been close forever. Jason was around when he was born. They've known each other their whole lives. And it's actually really sweet when you see kids grow up with certain people and they're like your uncles. And so it's very sweet. Let's see. What are we doing? Let's ask. Somebody asked me a question. So we're going to go Argentina, Baltimore. Amazing. Okay. Oh, there's people sending, okay, I'm looking at this for the first time. There are people sending requests to be in your live video. I'm not sure how that works. I've never done that before. God, I'll check that out. I need to check it out first, and then I will come back, and tomorrow maybe that's what I do, is I pop people on. That could be really cool, actually. I kind of like that idea a lot. That could save me from just talking for an hour and making everyone crazy. Almost sound like Owen Wilson. Yeah, hey, Joe, what are you doing, man? Let's go surfing or something, right? We can probably do that. Okay. Let's see. Here it is. Will you do a 14-day quarantine again for a 2-day shoot? I don't think so. I can honestly say I don't think so, unless they pay me a lot of money. I think that's it's a possibility. Anyways, so there's more people sending requests to be in my live video. Now, I would just want to say to those people, I have to check that out first, and then I'll get back to you. But I love that idea. Anyway, let's go back to the world of questions. You're close to your boys, so you wish you had a daughter. Well, it's funny you say that. So I told my boys that I would actually trade all 3 of them in for one girl, just so they know what their real value is, and keeps them on their toes. But yes, God, I wish I had a daughter. But if I had a daughter, I will say this. I know I'll spoil her, and I know my ex-wife, and I was married for almost 18 years, she feared having a daughter because she thought I just wouldn't even pay attention to her. And I don't know, my little daughter's name would be like Lola, and I'd be like, Lola and I are going to Paris. We'll see you guys later. We're going shopping. And I mean, I would be a sucker. I'd be such a sucker. But yes, the girls are amazing. I wish I had one. Your plans for the future. My God, you guys ask these huge questions. What have I been doing over quarantine? Okay, well, I don't know what you mean by that. If you're talking about the general quarantine, that's one thing. If you're talking about this quarantine, it's another thing. Okay, so first of all, for the general quarantine, I've been kind of living a semi-normal life in Malibu, except that there's no work. All the work, production, conventions, everything stopped, standstill. So you kind of feel like you're stuck, and you're in Malibu. So you're stuck on a really nice vacation that's really expensive, and now you're like, can I afford this vacation? But you can't leave the vacation because you're on the vacation. You're quarantined in this vacation. So you say to yourself, my God, how long is this going to last? And they say, we don't know. And then that adds to the anxiety. So it is that. And I don't mean to make light of it because, see, here's the thing. People are really suffering. So I don't want to make light of the fact that, I'm stuck in Malibu because I know that's an amazing thing. But I have to pay for it. I have to be working in order to live there. And one of the reasons I live there, they have a good school system too. It saves me a lot of money sending kids to private school. So, but I still have to pay to live there. So not being able to work is painful, and I'm sure a lot of people understand that. So, Let's go to the next question. Do you have to wear a mask between bites at restaurants? Well, I don't believe you do, but I don't get to go to restaurants in this particular quarantine. I don't get to. I don't get to do anything. So this is what's really kind of interesting, and this is what's kind of confusing to me. So I said, how do I work out things with housekeeping? And they said, well, if you want, we can arrange a time to have a housekeeper come. And I said, well, okay, where do I go? They said, well, can you stay in the hallway? I was like, okay, I can stand in the hallway, I guess. But you guys have this deck upstairs. Can I just go up to the deck and hang out in the deck? Well, maybe we can make that arrangement. But housekeeping is full for today and tomorrow, which I find really weird. Like, I don't know how a hotel doesn't have housekeeping available. First world problem, I get it. But I said to myself, hey, can I still go up to the deck and hang out? And he said, no. I'm like, come on. So imagine you had a pet tiger in a cage, and the tiger picks up the phone and calls you. That's me. I'm the tiger in the cage. Hey, man, can I use your deck? Oh, I can't use your deck. Okay. Do you have a bodyguard? Because I may kill you. All right, gotta go. Anyways, do you think your kids would visit you on a park bench? Well, okay. If I was on that park bench, perhaps with a brown paper bag, lying down with a bottle of vodka or something, maybe they wouldn't. But I think if I was on a park bench out in a nice place, they might agree to come see me. At least I'd like to think so. Let's see what's next here. Oh my God, what life projects do you currently have in mind? My God, you guys, these questions are so gigantic. I would be talking forever. Did you like my Owen Wilson, by the way? I think it's pretty good, man. You know, maybe I can actually do his parts or something. Yeah, actively looking for. Are you actively looking for a lead in the series? We're always looking for a lead in a series. But I'm going to tell you this is kind of interesting. And I guess there's some historical justification to this. So it is, okay. In television, they hire young white people because younger people are leads of the show. And as I've gotten older, there are less roles for leads as you're older. So they're under a tremendous amount of pressure, and they cast those parts, and you know, it might be a white guy or a black guy or whatever. But then the roles from 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the call sheets, they're under a tremendous amount of pressure to fill those roles with minorities. So it is a difficult time to be my age as a white actor. Where, you know, 15 years ago, there would be a lot of work. And now they're under a lot of pressure to make sure that minorities are represented in television and film. And so if they hire me, they have to justify that. And sometimes that's a lot of work. And it puts them in a vulnerable position. And it's kind of too bad that we all just can't cast just for casting. So it's an interesting kind of situation. It's a very complex thing to complain about, because, you know, I would hate somebody to thinking that, you know, this is like a racial thing, and it's not necessarily. And I think, you know, I'm all down for everybody getting represented, but mostly me getting represented. So in the absence of my capacity for like racial reassignment surgery or gender reassignment, I'm just going to have to make do with the fact that I'm an older white guy, you know? All right. Well, John Wayne was an older white guy. All right. He was fine. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Deutschland, ja. Okay, James Bond. We'd love to do James Bond. Bisous de Toulouse, hein? Merci bien. Bonjour, Toulouse. Okay, let's see. We're going to answer another question. I have to stop this thing. If you could remake any movie and star in it, which role would you most like to take on? Okay. That's pretty simple. That would be Star Wars, and that would be Han Solo, or Indiana Jones. It'd be those two things. That's what I would do. But I mean, provided that I wouldn't want to try to fill the role of Harrison Ford because, Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. He's an idol of mine. I wouldn't want to compete with the guy. Did I get an ad lib a lot on SGA? Actually, not that much. Toward the end, if we did the scene and if we finished the written dialogue, often we would have a tag kind of moment. So if my tag was like Rodney, dial the gate, I would say, Rodney, dial the gate, moron. Are you listening? I said, dial the gate, all right? And he would say, all right, I'm dialing the gate. Hey, good. It's like you never listened to me. And then that would just go on. And they decide where in the editing they wanted to cut it. So it was kind of fun in that regard. We had fun that way. That's not the case in a soap opera. It's really interesting. How many languages do I speak? Well, I speak 2 languages that I'm aware of, although I've heard that apparently I speak in tongues at night sometimes. So that actually could be... actually, anybody who does a 14-day quarantine, maybe they should learn another accent. Okay. How come you speak French with some non-American accent? Ah, mais c'est bien. Mais je suis complètement américaine. I don't know. I try to speak French well. I try to. Mais je parle français comme ça. Parce que je suis un cowboy. Is that better? I could do that. All right. I was going to say, here we go. Do I speak Russian? I do not speak Russian, but I think that would be awfully useful. And I've never been to Russia, and I really want to go. Will you invite me? Okay. You have an extra room? Dying to go to Russia. I find Russia really fascinating. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, I can say something. I can say something in Spanish, like. Not much. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama, señor? Sí. Bueno. Okay, sorry. That's as much Spanish as I speak. I do understand more Spanish than I speak, a lot more. I can actually understand some conversations. So it's kind of funny. I can sit there sometimes when people think I don't understand what's going on, and I can actually understand what they're saying. Like, I'm in a restaurant, and the guy's like, God, this dumb son of a bitch. I just fed him like 2 chopped fingers from the back bowl, and Anyways, if you could invite anybody, past or present, who would you join for dinner? Isn't that one of those like kind of questions, like when you type up, what question should I ask? They say that. I could. Boy, good question. Okay. I think the obvious answer for a lot of people would be Jesus, because I'd be like, dude, did you have any idea you would be this famous? And did that hurt? I just want to know, did that hurt? Is that like a hoax, that whole thing, you came back alive? And who is your father? Okay, just between you and me, who's your father? So I'd probably do the Jesus thing. Then, let me see, I would probably invite, I'm a big fan of Thomas Jefferson. I find him fascinating. Leonardo da Vinci. I would like to talk to Teddy Roosevelt. I would like to talk to Jean-Paul. I mean, there's so many. Where would I stop? God. Yeah, that's really hard for me to say. Abraham Lincoln. Boy, I mean, the list goes on. That would be really hard for me to decide. What book am I currently reading or you can recommend? Now, we've done the book thing a few times. I am reading, and I'll go get the book. I'm reading this book right here. It's called The Overstory. Yeah, Richard Powers. Interesting book. I can read this. Pulitzer Prize and National Book Award winner Richard Powers' 12th novel is a sweeping, impassioned work of activism and resistance that is also a stunning evocation of and paean to the natural world. From the roots to the crown and back to the seeds, the overstory unfolds in concentric rings of interlocking fables that range from antebellum New York to the late 20th century timber wars of the Pacific Northwest and beyond. I hope that got you. Anyways, it's surprisingly good. And this is the book that I want to read next. because I'm having a hard time breathing. But I want to unlock that sort of stuff. But anyways, oh, yeah, Sitting Bull. I would have liked to have met Sitting Bull. He would have been interesting. You know, there's a lot of Native Americans I would have loved to have sat down and talked to. You know, like my first question would be like, you think you had too liberal an immigration policy? You know, just curious. Anyway, people are asking for more funny animal stories. Well, let's see. Okay. So my dad was an interesting guy. He was from the East Coast. He was pretty East Coast, but he hated the East Coast, and he kind of had cowboy dreams, which is interesting because this is a guy, he's a well-educated guy from the East Coast. He's well-to-do, and the outfit he would wear, he had these Lee jeans and like a striped Brooks Brothers shirt, but then a gigantic like Western belt buckle that would say like Texas national champion, Texas Longhorn or something, because we did have the national champions, and loafers. And I'd be like, that's a good look, Dad. That's cool. I don't know quite if you're a cowboy or a preppy cowboy. Couldn't figure it out. But nonetheless, he was tough, though. Tough like a cowboy for sure. As tough as any cowboy. But he also was a bit of a snob. So he didn't like the mutt dog thing. So he decided he wanted to be the first guy to have a Swiss Alpine Meadow dog. Now, his cousins had some of these dogs in St. Louis. And they were the only ones in the country. So he thought, well, I'm going to get the next batch. So he had it was a long process to get them brought in the country or whatever. Finally, we get a Swiss Alpine Meadow dog, and it's beautiful and all that, whatever. And we had to keep him in the kennel because she was in heat, and we weren't going to fix her because we were going to actually breed her. So anyway, my job was to take care of certain animals and do certain things, but often my dad would take me, and when I say I had to do a lot of work, I did a lot more than kids today, let me just tell you. But he would take me to the patio and then give me a list of things to do. He'd be like, I want you to fix that fence, and I want you to do that, and I want you to irrigate over here, and then I want you to dig a ditch there and do this. And as he's doing this, we look over and we see his prized Swiss Alpine Meadow dog in the field getting fucked by a mutt. Yes, a mutt. And his face just turns red and his eyes pop out and he's like, get that goddamn dog. So we running. We were running, jumping over the fence and just piling. And I don't think my dad was necessarily the most athletic guy in the world. But he did pretty good on this one. Anyways, we're running, and the dogs see us, and that scares the dogs, and they both turn around and try to run. Well, guess what? Sometimes you get stuck. Sometimes you can't run. They were stuck. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just knew there was one dog trying to go that way, and another dog trying to go that way, and they couldn't separate. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I've never seen this before. So it became abundantly clear what had happened is that he was stuck inside our prized Swiss Alpine Meadow dog. So I grabbed the tail of one dog and put my foot on the ass of the other dog, while my father did the same thing with the other one, and we had to do this until finally there was this. Yeah, and that mutt went crying and screaming home with his apparatus trailing, and I couldn't tell if he was in pain or he was humiliated or both, but that was more than the walk of shame. That was a run from hell. Anyways, this is. I have such fucked up sense of humor. I really apologize. And all my stories are fucked up. I realize. Anyways, so the bottom line is our dog ended up having 10 mutt puppies. To the great chagrin of my father, who was just so horrified that there were mutt puppies. And he had spent so much time doing this, and suddenly we had mutt puppies. So anyway, that is the other animal story. I have so many animal stories that are actually kind of pretty interesting. And I'm going to try to come up with a family-friendly Disney-like animal story at one point. I just have to find it because I'm not sure I do have those family-friendly animal stories. So that is that. And I'll come up with another one tomorrow. They go on and on and on and on and on. Anyways, so some people like that story. I think, okay, it looks like some people like that. Bonjour de France. Bonjour France. That is so wrong. I know that story is wrong. I apologize. Look, sometimes I start the story and I forget that the ending may not be entirely, family friendly. So I apologize for that. Let me see. Have you been to the town of Flanigan, northwest of Reno? I have not. I didn't even know there was a town of Flanigan, northwest of Reno, but I like that idea. Maybe we should take it over. Okay. So let's see. What's next here? What is next? Do you talk about your family? How many siblings do you have? I do talk about my family. So I grew up with my mother and my stepfather, and since I was like about 4 or 5 years old. So I really grew up with my stepfather. Now, my stepfather actually adopted me and changed my name. So the name I was born with, I don't know if some people know this, it was very interesting. It was Joe Dunnigan. I was born with the name Joseph Dunnigan III. And my real father was from Los Angeles. And I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. And he just, they just took us into the family. I mean, he treated me like a real son. He wanted me to be his real son and so forth. And so, kids become attached to the people they're with. And so I was attached to my stepfather. And, he was an older guy who had been married twice previously. So he had 6 kids from 2 other marriages and then brought me and my sister in. So we had a total of 8. And my oldest stepbrother / half-brother / brother, I just call him brother, he did pass away from muscular dystrophy when he was about 24, which was really difficult for the family. So there are 7 of us, and I'm close with them. I love my siblings. They're awesome. And even it's a really interesting thing. Family becomes increasingly important as you get older. So I think, it's a typical modern family. There's the nuclear family is perhaps like something of the past, but nonetheless. Do you have a relationship with your biological dad? Yeah, I did toward the end. He passed away. He was a character. He was a character. I think I might have gotten my acting chops from him. He was a little bit of a larger-than-life kind of character, and he would have been a very good actor. He was married to another woman for 35 years who is lovely and amazing, and she just passed away a couple of years ago, too. And so they were happy, and they were good. And, being close to my stepfather didn't come at the cost of my real father, but I was with my stepfather. Anyways, all right. Worst injury you had on set? Well, that's interesting. I can't say that I really have. I don't feel like I've ever really been hurt that badly on set, knock on wood. Let's see. Fun son stories. Speaking of dads, what's the best dad joke you have? How's this? Why doesn't the queen wave with this hand? Because it's my hand. Right. That's actually a pretty damn good dad joke. Okay, you want a son story? This is when I realized I was a parent and no longer I can just be just a dumb child. I remember somehow my wife and I were getting ready to go to dinner or something, taking a shower and getting dressed and something, and it was kind of one of those things where we're late and all this stuff. And my oldest son, and we only had one son at the time, came running in very excited. He's like, Daddy, 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 look. And I was like, what? What is it? And I grab it from him. I go, what? Yeah, what is it? And he's like, it's my poop. And I was like, wah! And I was like, that was like horrifying. That's fucked up. You just handed me your poop, for Christ's sake. Well, he was proud because he thought for the first time ever, he had control. And I guess my reaction should have been a little better. But I realized that is the glamour of parenthood. That sometimes you actually have to hold your children's poop. So, anyways, I'm probably really encouraging a lot of people out there without kids to not ever have kids. So that would be a son story. Let's see, what are some other questions? Do I listen to any podcasts? Yes, I do listen to podcasts. I love podcasts. My favorite podcast is probably the Sam Harris podcast. He doesn't do enough of them. And I also would like to do a podcast. I'd like to take an anecdotal survey right now. If I had a podcast, would people listen? Okay, let me just tell you. I am trying to do this. I do have people on my list to interview, and they've all agreed to be interviewed. But it ranges from neuroscientists, politicians, all the way to celebrities. And everybody's like, no, you need to focus on one thing. And I was like, I don't want to focus on one thing. Do I look like a guy that can focus on one thing? Sorry. I'm not doing it. Maybe I'll even call it like my life in ADD or something. But I can't focus on one thing. And I also like to talk to people about different things. So when I talk to celebrities, I probably won't talk to them about their careers because that actually I find boring. But I'll, for example, if I talk to Jason, I'll probably talk about fatherhood or something like that. It's got to be a different angle. But I have these two neuroscientists lined up that I'm supposed to interview very soon. I'm trying to read all their books, and it's actually a little complicated because they've all written like 10 to 12 books each. I'm trying to be like the most well-informed person ever in the history of podcasting. Nonetheless, I realize I'm not. So what I really need is like a research assistant and a tech assistant. That's what I need. Anyways, somebody has 3 girls. Wow. You want to swap 3 for 3? Maybe. Although my kids are almost out of the danger zone. So I may, I don't know about that. Let's see here. Is that what did I study in college or do I have another study? Well, I studied history and literature and art. Would I get married again? Okay. Well, that's a good question. This is the way I would see it. If I met somebody and fell in love with that person, and I thought I'd be with that person the rest of my life, and that particular person wanted to get married and wanted to have kids, I would do it. But I'd have to be relatively sure that that's the person I want to invest my time in. But I don't have a problem with that. I'm not cynical about the marriage thing at all. I look back on it, I learned a lot, and I certainly don't think it was a waste of time at all. I mean, I got 3 amazing kids. I learned a lot more from divorce than I did from marriage. But also, you get married and you say to yourself, you look at somebody and you say, well, let's try to grow together. But that doesn't always work. You kind of grow this way, they grow this way, you cross again, one grows more, one grows less, you're kind of all over the map. But then as a number of years go by, you can see the pattern. And you can kind of see whether or not there's a chance that you're going to kind of grow together. And if you're not, you have to take a kind of sober look at things and say, is this the person I want to grow old with? Because I may not grow old with this person. They may not be growing. I may not be growing, whatever it is. So the answer to that is yes, I would get married and have kids again. God, I feel sorry for whatever kid that would be. Be like, my dad is so old. But, you know, I think that's the thing. Like, I'm in Malibu, where there's like these old rich guys with young wives, which is like really kind of funny. And like, I'm like the young dad compared to these guys. And I took my son and his friends to the bike park the other week, to the downhill mountain biking park. And I'm proud to say I was the only parent riding bikes with them. And you know what? I was leading the pack. People couldn't even keep up with me. Okay, I lie. The kids could keep up with me. They're insane. The sun is coming through. I have to shut this a little bit. Hold on. Yeah. See, I told you that there are times. There we go. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Wow, the sun is really hitting us. Let's do this. There. I think that's better. Much better. Anyway, you have these little mottled pieces of sunlight here. I think dappled is what the word would be. A novelist would say dappled sunlight. That would show that you're part of the literati. Anyways, let's see. Let's answer some more questions. All right. Are you planning to come visit Austin, Texas? I love Austin, Texas. In fact, I almost went there the other week. I love Austin. I'll go back to Austin anytime. They actually shoot shows in Austin. Do your kids ever think you embarrass them? Well, I think absolutely, probably. My youngest son, it's really funny. My oldest son went through a period where he was like really socially like self-conscious, and we'd go wherever we'd go. He'd be like, "God, Mom, keep your voice down. Dad, stop it." Thankfully, he got through that. But my youngest son, who's awesome, I would do this thing to him every day when I dropped him off at school, which is I drop him off in the car line. He gets out, and everybody's there, and I'd roll down the window. I'd be like, "Bye, Fergus. I love you. Your dad loves you." And he would just go like this and run into the classroom. So I still try to do that to him. Embarrassing your children is one of the few privileges we have, and I exercise that privilege quite liberally. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Do I prefer an RV or a travel trailer? I would be an RV. It'd be a Sprinter van. I'd love that. Do that. I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if somebody like famous just did a GoFundMe for the things he wanted? I was like, I want a Ferrari. Can you fund Nicolas Cage's new Ferrari? Get Nick a new Ferrari or a Lamborghini, like, or an Enzo. So I think that would be funny. But I do really want to get a Sprinter van and go places and do things. Anyway, let's see what's next. My dad is the reason I never got embarrassed at all anymore. Well, that's good because he embarrassed you past the threshold of your embarrassment until you realize you have to live with embarrassment, I guess. That's probably. Does Truman have a girlfriend? One of these questions are very personal. I can't answer questions for Truman. Truman's capable of answering his own questions. Do I love camping? I do love camping. I love camping. And I love it more and more as I get older. So, hello. Comment vas-tu? Ah, ça va bien. Okay. I met Paul Rudd. Okay, that's cool. Have you met him? I have not met Paul Rudd. But I think he's funny. I like him. Okay, here we go. Do I hunt? Okay, I do hunt. Is that good or bad? I don't know, but I do hunt. And there was a period when I got off Stargate, I was approached to do it's not a reality show, but it's like what do they call it? Unscripted 1 hour. Where I would go around the world and go through the hunting rituals with each culture, which actually is a great idea. I think that would be a lot of fun. Where I grew up, we hunted. But, my dad had, a pretty strong ethic about this. Everything we shot, we ate. Literally, everything. And if you weren't going to eat it or be able to give it to somebody else, you don't shoot it. We didn't have any handguns because handguns are for shooting people. And we actually really didn't have many rifles because rifles were designed for big game. And I always wanted my dad to take me big game hunting. Now, he didn't do that because his mentality is like, he goes, I don't want to kill those animals, those big, beautiful animals, and I can't eat it all. So I kind of respected him for that. But I don't have anything against people that shoot big game. My brother actually went on to do a lot of deer hunting and stuff like that, and he would send us stuff, and it would feed a lot of people for the whole winter. So I would like to go elk hunting. That would be fun. That would be fun. Oh my God, people are calling me. Don't they know I'm live streaming? Okay. You got to be part of this. You got to be part of the conversation. Let's see who it is. Hello? Yeah. Oh, great. Oh, right, in 10 minutes. But the housekeeping, they can't actually clean the room, huh? Today or tomorrow? Oh, I have to book a time slot. I get it. And when they do that, I can go upstairs. Yeah. Can I ask you, is there any way somebody can leave the door unlocked to the patio upstairs and I can just go up there and get some fresh air?
There's nobody over there to like watch it, and there's so many people in the condominium, and if they go up there and we've had a lot of bad experiences in the past, so we're very strict on keeping it locked all the time.
Oh, you've had bad experiences?
Yeah.
Where people jump off or something?
No, not that bad.
Oh,
I mean, like people like partying and going out there and like trashing it. Like it's strictly just for events and stuff.
right. Okay. God, I would kill to get some fresh air, and I think the only way to do it is to go up there. So if there's any way to arrange that, that would be really helpful for me.
Yeah, well, maybe tomorrow we could maybe arrange something. Just for like maybe, I don't know, like a half. It's just we don't have much staff in the evening. That's why it's harder for us.
That would be awesome. Are you going to be here tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. And your name was
Aaron.
Aaron, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Aaron has no idea that I put him on a live stream. But you just heard it. Can I have some fresh air? It's kind of like maybe I can't. Anyways, everybody's trying to do their job. I respect it. So, I think maybe that's what I should do. I should just have people call me, right? Right when I'm in the middle of my live streaming. Break it up a little. Okay. Stories about your trip to Africa when you were younger. Wow. Well, I may save those stories for tomorrow because there are quite a few of my Africa stories. Oh my God! Now there's people like knocking on the door. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. Thank you. Are those just towels?
No towels. You need towels right now?
Oh, no, that's fine. So where do I put the dirty
You can
sheets?
leave outside.
Okay,
Towels
great.
later.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll put them in this bag. All right. So, well, guys, you just heard it. See what happens? Tiger in a cage. It's like they knock on the door, you open it up, and all there is a little plastic bag with my fresh sheets. But they're like back there behind masks and stuff. You know what's crazy is that I've now taken 2 tests. I've been here for a week. I'm probably safer than any of those people that are approaching me. But God damn it. Got to do what I got to do. All right. Anyways, you're getting a feel for what it's like, right? You know what? Maybe that's what I do, is I just call people. It's going to be a live stream of me calling all my friends and my friends blowing me off because they're not stuck in a house. Anyways. All right, guys. Well, it was lovely talking to you, or me talking, and hopefully you guys listening, or maybe not. I'm going to check into you guys joining. That could be cool. And any other type of interactivity, because then that would be a welcome break for both you and me from myself, who was just rambling and talking his way through his disintegrating mental state in a hotel room in Toronto. Anyways, you guys are awesome. As I say this every day, stay safe. Oh, by the way, I just want to know, did anybody watch the vice presidential debates last night? It kind of didn't move the needle either way, if you ask me. And I'm going to just say right now, I want to monitor. I want to be the what do they call that? I don't know. The person who is the monitor guy. Why am I coming up short? Anyways, whoever hosts the thing. I didn't think, I'm going to say it, it was really dull. And I think that you couldn't get into any situation. You ask somebody a question and they can just pivot and go the other direction, and she wouldn't even stop them. They would just talk. And Mike Pence in particular is good at the pivot. You'd be like, say anything. So Mike, you're the vice president of the United States. Can you tell me why 200,000 people have died from COVID and you're in charge of the COVID relief team called Team Awesome or something, or Team Warp Speed or whatever we call it? And he'd be like, thank you for asking me that. It's a very important question. What I'd like to say is that our great leader, Donald Trump, is one of the greatest and most attractive people I've ever worked for. And I'd just like to say to Kamala, you wish you worked with somebody as attractive as my boss. Thank you. You're like, what the hell, dude? You didn't even talk about anything. I would be a horrible moderator. Excuse me. I'd be a great moderator. I would, you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I think I'd be the best moderator they'd ever have. I wouldn't let people get away with bullshit. I'd just stop them. I'd be like, bullshit. And then he'd talk and I'd be like, bullshit, horseshit. That's what I'd do. So we're letting people get away with stuff, and it's time we stop doing that. We got to hold them to account. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it's the third time I've tried to sign off, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow for day number 8 of the ongoing series called Joe in His Room. Joe and His Madness. And feel free to tell me if you've seen any, changes in my mental state or anything. I know one thing. My actual language skills are literally atrophying. Because I don't talk, I actually am having a harder time putting sentence structures together. I notice that. Like when I'm in New York, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then I get to LA, it's less, so it's a little like this. But then now I'm not talking to anybody. So I'm like, I am Joe in hotel room. So I'm going to get better with that. And maybe you guys are going to keep me from losing my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, go have a great day. Be safe. Enjoy, friends and family. I will talk to you